Tap in, tap in. Tell your grandmama, tell a friend. Tap in. Business, music, smarter, finance. Bound to win. Tap in. Business, music, finance. If you trying to win. What's up, everybody? It's your boy Wham. This is Business Music Finance, the show that gives you the game you need to know. Today, I have in here somebody who's going to talk about journalism with us today. I think journalism is very important as it is the way we get a lot of our news these days. Whether you want to call a blog journalism, the newspaper journalism, or clickbait journalism. This person specifically works under the sports journalism industry, and he is currently in the Austin metro area. So without further ado, I want to thank my guest, JT, for coming on, man.
What's going on, Wham? Nice
up?
to meet you, man. Nice to be on here with you, I should say. We met before.
We have met before. So you tell the people, once again, that's your camera.
Yeah.
When and where can they see you?
Yeah, for sure. I'm the weekend sports anchor on kxan. So for you local news viewers, you may have seen me before, but I work there. It's channel 4 if you have Spectrum. It's channel 36 if you have DirecTV, or you just go old school with the rabbit ears. But I'm the weekend sports anchor reporter. I anchor the shows on Fridays, Saturdays, 5 o'clock on Sundays. We also do a Sunday night all sports show called Game Night. So you can find me on there. And I've been here about 5 years, and it's been a good time. You can also check out some of my stuff. Sometimes I write articles as well on kxan.com also. So, yeah, that's where you can find me.
I've never heard that one before, but I will say if you worked at a restaurant, you're getting the whole menu now. So what made you choose journalism as a career path?
Well, it's interesting, Wham. I always loved sports. I actually always wanted to be involved with sports media. I used to pretend to be like an announcer, do play-by-play, like when I'd play Madden or NBA Live, if you remember that game. I always kind of wanted to just, call sports, whether it be sporting events or just report on them. It just kind of was always in me, but I just didn't know exactly how to go about it. So I never really pursued it strongly until my junior year of college. I just decided after some things had happened to me, I decided, you know what, I'm just going to go for my dreams. I'm going to just go for it. I'm going to figure out a way to get in. And I got an internship. I went to Arizona State. I got an internship at Channel 3 for you Phoenix viewers. KTVK they're the call letters. Now they're a duopoly, which is 2 stations in one. Okay. But whatever, that doesn't matter that much.
Duopoly, word of the day.
Yeah. Now it's KTVK, KPHO, but the business has evolved, and I'm sure we'll get to that a little later. But so those are the stations. But I interned at just KTVK. And, that exposed me to a lot. I was able to cover a lot of things as an intern. I worked on primarily their high school sports show that used to exist. It's defunct now, called Varsity Zone. I was able to do, what we call packages, which is basically stories, pieces made for television. I did pieces for them that would actually air on that show as an intern, which is pretty cool. So, I got a lot of great experience, learned from a lot of great people. Shout out to Tim Ring, Brad Sesmat, Joe Ferris, and John Gustafson. Gus, shout out to them. But, I learned from some great people there. Then I got into the Cronkite program at Arizona State, and, it kind of just took off from there. I got involved with their news program, again, also defunct News Watch. I graduated in 2010, so some of the stuff that, existed then doesn't exist anymore.
He looks very young, but he's wise as well.
Thank you. But, yeah, so, I got involved with them, and from that, I was able to make myself a good enough what we call resume reel. Which is basically a compilation of your best work on camera. I was able to make a good reel and send it all over the country, and I got on at KLST kxan in San Angelo, and my career took off from there.
Now, you said you've always wanted to do sports, always commentated. Was ESPN sportscaster ever in the ballpark of what you wanted to do? Because that's really what made me go into journalism, because I thought that's what I wanted to do, and then I realized all you needed is an opinion and a microphone to be one of those people.
Right. Well, that's what it certainly evolved to. It certainly evolved to that point. ESPN was certainly something that influenced me. I'd be lying if I said otherwise, right? But I never, once I started like really pursuing it, I never was like, my goal was to get to ESPN. I never was really like that. If I got to ESPN, if I became a classic traditional sports center anchor, that'd have been great. You know, that would have been a dream come true for sure. But I never was like, that's my one thing. I always wanted to just stay involved in sports as long as I possibly could because I genuinely loved it so much. And then I developed a love for journalism and television as well. And I just wanted to, blend that all together. And I wanted to stick around in that field for as long as possible. That was really my goal.
That makes sense. So you talked about you worked in Arizona, and then you worked at your first opportunity, which was San Angelo. Mm-hmm. San Angelo where?
Texas. San Angelo,
okay.
Texas.
And then after San Angelo, where did you work?
So I've had a funny career, but I did 2 years in San Angelo, and then I left because I went through some stuff, there, and I kind of felt like, all right, do I really want to do?
They was racist.
Yeah, no, that wasn't it. That wasn't it. It was one of those things like, the thing is, let me explain kind of how it goes, okay?
How it goes in the industry or in San Angelo?
In the industry.
Okay.
In general, it's both. It's kind of a mix of both, okay? And peep this.
Are we talking blue sugar and red Kool-Aid, or are we talking blueberry in a bowl full of red soup?
we you know what? Here, I'll put it like this. That was hilarious, but I'll put it like this. Yeah. People don't understand that to get into TV, okay, you got to start from scratch. You got to start from the bottom. So you have to go. There's 212 markets in this country, 212 television markets. So market 5, right, which I believe is Dallas, Fort Worth still, or Houston, it's one of those. They're not hiring typically. They're not going to hire somebody on camera who's right out of college. Yeah. That's not happening. So, and quite frankly, you don't really want that to happen because that's a lot of pressure when you're 22, 23 years old.
Yeah, if you bomb, it's a wrap.
Because if you bomb, it's a wrap, right? So you have to go to a small market. You got to go to a market anywhere from 212, which is Glendive, Montana, anywhere from there to maybe, market 108, which could be Fayetteville, Arkansas, or something like that. I don't have the whole rundown.
But there is a list.
But there is for sure. Like Austin is market 36, I believe. So it's a top 50 market. So it's considered big, but it's not huge like, Chicago, which is market 3, LA 2, New York 1, right?
But
like,
you top 5.
Right.
Times 10.
Right.
10
Top 10. Yeah, that's top 15. You know what I mean? I mean, and really, if we're gonna keep it real, like top 50 is pretty doggone
36,
good for you, for you to be at, because now you're in what you call a designated market area, DMA for short, where you got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of households that you can potentially reach, if not 1 million, and that's the range you're getting in when you're in a top 50 market.
Any number that's a square root, it's special.
It's right. That's right. So when you're 22, 23, and you go from, let's say I graduated from Northwestern, which is right outside of Chicago. Say I go from Northwestern to Alpena, Michigan, which is like market 2 something, I believe, 204 or something like that. That's a huge culture shock. That's a huge adjustment for you to make. Right out of college, young, starting your career, you're a professional now, and now what you've been studying and what you've been working on, as an intern, as an undergrad, that's now your job. That's now going to pay your bills. Speaking of pay, you're not getting paid very well. You're making really low.
When you start from the bottom, there's
right.
not many jobs that will allow you, unless it's those of the doctor, of the lawyer, and you've been doing multiple years
Yes.
Of the college
Exactly.
after your undergrad to get to that point. So I get what you're saying.
Exactly. And when you're living in these small towns, there's not as many people there, so the cost of living is lower, but you're really getting paid super low. I mean, like, it's pretty low, like below poverty line stuff. But the balance is, and I'm not excusing it at all, it's terrible. I'm just saying the balance is, and the excuse is, well, you're living in a real small place, so your rent's not going to be as high as it would be somewhere bigger. You know, things around aren't going to cost as much.
This is what they told you? This is what you learned?
This is what they tell you and you learn. Like, it's both, because it's a fact. These are facts. They're just giving you facts, but these are facts. Like, my rent in San Angelo, my first go-around, and even my second go-around there, my rent was nothing compared to my rent here. Now, granted, Austin's very expensive.
What was your rent in San Angelo?
The first one was all bills paid, mind you, $565 a month.
What year was this?
2011, 2012.
Pretty good.
$565 a month, all bills paid, but I was making $17,000. My first year, I made $17,000. Second year, I made $18,000. So, yeah, I could pay my rent and all that, but I wasn't balling at all, right? And that's the thing. That's the adjustment you have to make. So all these things you got to deal with, and you're 22, 23, you know, plus you're trying to do your job because you want to get better, you want to get sharper so you can move up to a bigger market and make more money and have, you know, more opportunities and cover things that, you know, excite you a little bit more, right? That you want to do that. And so that there's a lot of pressure there. So it definitely affects people in a lot of ways, you know what I mean? And so that first market, I always say, if you survive that first market, you're good to go the rest of the way. But a lot of people, that first experience kind of breaks them down a little bit. And it breaks them down so much that even if they do work a second job, after that second job, they go, you know what, actually, it's not worth it. I'm done.
Yeah, and it's like the time. And sorry, I'm just doing the math real quick.
Yeah, you good.
17,000 divided by 12 is $1,416, and that's before tax. That is a choice. San Angelo, y'all need to get y'all shit together. Now, you go from San Angelo to where?
So after being at home for a little bit between jobs, I got a job actually in Midland, Texas, which is West Texas as well. Slightly bigger market. I believe at the time it was like 131 or 134 or something like that. Slightly bigger market. I worked at the NBC out there, News West 9. I was in a slightly different role. My first, tour of duty in San Angelo, I call it, I was a weekend sports anchor for the NBC out there. This one, I was actually a producer, a morning producer. Okay. So I was more on the news side than sports. But they let me kind of do a sports cast because basically it was like, well, you've got experience on camera. The news director liked me a lot, but there was just not a space for me to get into the sports department at that time. But he was like, if you want to come here and you produce the news, but you do your own sports cast, for our morning show, you go right ahead. And I did, just to keep that muscle sharp. It was more work. It was tough, but I did it to keep that muscle sharp. But working those hours, you were a morning producer. Our show started at 5 a.m., ended at 7 a.m. So I worked overnight. So I got to work at 10:30 p.m., and I left at 7:30 a.m. every day. That was a beatdown. That was tough. So I only did that for about 4 months. Someone at the CBS in San Angelo got fired. My news director reached out to me and was like, because I had just been tired and, I had friends still there who were, I would talk to. And the news director was basically like, look, I heard you looking to get out. There's an opening here if you want to come back.
Opening where?
In San Angelo, back in San Angelo. So I went back, bigger role, more money. Not amazing, but more money. But the thing was, it was kind of like a reset to me because I became sports director there, and I was able to do everything I wanted to do. Like my vision, it was my vision. So I said, you know what? I know exactly what it takes to get to a bigger market. So every day I'm going to work toward that, and no one's going to be able to tell me nothing because I'm the sports director.
You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of when Braun went to Miami.
Yeah. It was a slightly less joyous occasion than that, but but no, for real, you're right. I mean, it was like when LeBron had to change the scenery because it just wasn't working out in Cleveland anymore. He saw the writing on the wall, and him and Dan Gilbert, were at odds. He didn't think he was going to get the team he wanted to get. He couldn't get guys to come there. So he had to go somewhere else. And then he got his stuff, he got himself kind of in a better space, went back to Cleveland, won there. And then we got their stuff together.
Got their stuff together.
And so I was like, yeah, and it was really more about, the issue was really more about just this time I could do things my way.
You're older. You have more leverage. You have more experience. It's not just,
exactly.
It's not just tell me what to do. Let me tell you what I think should be done.
Yeah, and let me get it straight too. It's not like I was like bossing anybody around or anything. Like, it was more of just like,
you were leading.
I'm able, if I want to go cover something this particular way, I can do it. I can set the basis of how we cover things. Me and the guy, the other person. It was a weird situation because, like I said, it was a duopoly, 2 stations in one. So it was really 4 sports people. So it was me, the sports director on the CBS side, and then the sports director on the NBC side. We worked together, you know what I mean, kind of to set the coverage plan for how we were going to cover, teams in the market. But the thing was, we were still on separate stations. So if I said, well, I want to do this, I want to cover this game or this story this way, who's going to tell me no? You know what I mean? Besides my news director, the big boss, but he let me do my thing too. He trusted me. So it was like, I was able to do everything I needed to do to get better and get to the point where I can go somewhere cool after that. And then that's how I arrived here.
Got it. Now, we talked over lunch about one negative incident that you've had since you've started your journey in the industry. I would like for you to share that, because I asked him and he told me, he said, an old lady, and I was like, let me stop. I can already think what the old lady gonna say. So
yeah.
So let's set this up. She was an older woman.
Okay, yeah. So well, let me just go back a little bit before that and kind of explain the theme of this, right?
Sure.
A lot of people, ask me, like, well, what's it like to have people recognize you or whatever? And I'm no celebrity. It's not like a whole bunch of people are recognizing me, but especially when you're in a small market, you do get noticed. You know what I mean? You do get noticed. Like, I get noticed here, but getting noticed there, I got noticed there all the time, right? But it's way smaller than Austin.
And more people are only watching the news versus here, more people have the ability to go outside or go, stream, so they're not necessarily watching the news as much.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, and I was telling you that, the majority of my instances, meeting people recognize me, coming up to me, have been positive. Like, I was like, but there was one time, this was right when I came back to San Angelo. I came back and I was working, like I said, the CBS. And at that particular time, I was the weekend sports guy at that moment. I was only in that role for a few months. My friend who was a sports director left. That was another reason why I came back, because I knew he was trying to leave. So I knew I could slide right into that role. So, but at the time when I was working with him, we were covering this particular event. And this lady came up to us, and she came up to him, and she was like, oh, I watch you all the time. It's nice to see you, And my friend turns to me, and he goes, oh, well, this is also, Jonathan Thomas, weekend sports. He taught me a lot. And I'm not taking credit. But, like, me and him definitely, like, we exchanged information. I got to that station first. I kind of, we became friends, and, we just kind of, he was on the news side at the time. Then he moved over to sports. So, like, we just, exchanged information, but he was being nice. He said something nice about me to her, and was like, you got to give him some credit, too. And she straight up looks at me, and she goes, oh, baby, he didn't teach you nothing. I can tell he didn't teach you nothing. Whatever. And then literally that was it. I just started laughing.
You laughed in her face?
I laughed in her. Well, yeah, because what else am I going to do?
You shouldn't laugh in the Anglo-Saxon.
What kind of face? Hey, man, it is what it is. You gotta, that kind of thing, you gotta kind of just let that roll off your back.
Yes, you have to, but let's not get it twisted. This Anglo-Saxon lady told a non-Anglo-Saxon man that he could have never taught another Anglo-Saxon man nothing.
Well, no. I got to correct that. My friend was half black, so.
I got it out of him. And you are also half black?
No, I'm black.
You know?
I'm black. I'm full black. Yeah.
Full black. So both of your ancestors are from Africa.
Yes.
Nowhere in your lineage did a slave master or slave master.
Well, I don't know about that. I don't go back. I haven't gone back that far. I mean, clearly something went down because my mom's Creole. My mom's Creole.
All right, there you go.
My mom's from Louisiana, so well, she's not Creole, but my grandma was.
And by the way, guys, I'm just joking, bro. If you can't take it, get out the kitchen.
It's one person out of so many people who've came up to me and been nice. People you would have never believed saying nice things in West Texas.
Boy, you look
seriously.
Good on them.
Now, don't get twisted. Ain't nobody called me boy though. And that ain't, that ain't going down. That is not going down. That is not going down. I don't care if I'm live on the air. That ain't going down. Ain't nobody calling me boy and going unchecked. but nah, I know you clowning. But I know we clown. But like that lady was the one person who was rude to me in person. I've gotten emails before, but I'm telling you, the majority of it has been positive.
I'm a proponent of if you going dish it. Gotta take it. And sometimes I might just dish it at you just to see how you react. But like where I work, people lose money, so they're gonna be talking crazy to me, and I talk crazy back. Right. But it's like it's a give and take. So when they talk crazy to me, right, when they call me out when I'm wrong, it's all laughs. I'm never gonna get offended. And so it's a good thing you didn't get offended. Now, to piggyback off of you going from San Angelo to Midland to Austin, what's the most challenging thing about working in the sports journalism industry from your perspective?
Okay, so there's how much time you got now? There's the thing is, it's really the challenging thing. Really, is more for me the schedule. Especially as you start getting older and certain other priorities, kind of start, to take hold for you. It's the fact that, when do sports happen majority? On the weekends, because remember, I cover local sports too. So it's like, I'm not going on camera just talking about any old thing happening in the NBA, NFL, Major League Baseball, so on and so forth. Like,
if we cover the Spurs,
UT,
the Cowboys, the Texans.
we right, but we cover and the stuff that we go to are all UT events, Austin FC, and high school sports.
Have you ever been to the Red Rose tailgate tent?
I've never been there. No, I've never been to it. I have a funny. Maybe we'll do it toward the end or something. I do have a funny tailgate tent story. The last time I was in a tailgate tent was when I was covering a game, but it was totally out of desperation.
Were you on the sauce?
It was no, not at all. Nah. I ain't on that. I ain't on. And even if I was, I wouldn't say it. No, I'm kidding. I wasn't on no sauce.
Okay, all right. So the most challenging thing is the schedule.
Yeah.
That makes sense because you kind of talked about how the sports you cover on the weekends, the months, and the amount. It's not just the collegiate or the pro, but it's also local. And then one of the things that I guess people that aren't from Texas that I had to learn about is the 5, 6, 7A, right? The small towns.
Oh yeah.
Friday Night Lights, I'm not saying all, but a lot of these towns in Texas, all they have is this one guy whose dad was good but got injured, and now his son's good, and now his son's taking them to the state or the quarterfinal championships every year. And there's been a lot of professional footballers coming out of, I guess, schools like Westlake.
Yeah.
And other Cedar Park, I know, Samaje that played for the Bengals. I don't want to destroy his last name, but he came out of there.
P. Ryan,
P. Ryan, smart. And then a lot of people who go to Oklahoma and stuff, they're Texas kids.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you got Westlake, you got Lake Travis, you got Pflugerville schools that are sending players, D1. It's all over the place. The thing is too, it's with football in particular, that's 4 or 5 months of the year, right? They start practicing in August. When you're talking high school, state championships are December, either the week before Christmas or 2 weeks before Christmas. Then you got college. In the case of UT, they went super far, so they played, New Year's Day, New Year's night. So you're locked in to football. And I mean, so vacationing in September or, November or October, not really an option, because then you got that, plus you got high school football too on Friday. So that's the thing. You have a lot of prime months of the year that you just can't really go anywhere and do your own thing, because you got to cover the teams. You got to do the job. And sports departments are small, especially for local television. They're small. They're 2 people, 3 people. We have 3 people, which is rare these days. I mean, one station in this market, they had 3 people, then they laid off someone who had been there for 20 years, and now they're at 2 people, and so basically a lot of times you got one person doing, working by themselves for 2 days because the other person's on their weekend. So it's like, these aren't big operations. A lot of people kind of have the vision of like, we got 10, 15 people, and no, it's 3 people. So when it's 3 people or 2 people, that's vacation you got to think about, right? You got to, everything you do, you have to have work first in your mind as far as when you plan a vacation. Well, what's going on that week or what's going on that weekend? Anybody plan? How big of a game is this? Is this a game that we can kind of just be like, we don't have the resources to really do a lot with it, so it's cool, I'll take off. Or if they're like, hey, that's a big game, that's a big, like the Red River rivalry, nobody's taking off that weekend. You know what I mean? Obviously, emergencies, family stuff, of course, is the number one thing, and everyone understands that. But, I'm not going to take that day off to go to a day party. I can't, that's just irresponsible. You know what I'm saying? That's not serious. And so that's the thing. Like, if you really are serious about this, you miss half the year covering football, and if you're in a place where there's more going on, like Austin, you really have to be kind of delicate when you take off and when you don't. You know what I mean?
Be committed.
Yeah, and not saying that you can't take off or shouldn't take off. You should, absolutely. But football season is kind of understood as like that's an untouchable time.
I think, Austin's been the number 1 city in for multiple reasons. And so, one of the things is, like you said, sports. So even if you're a sportscaster, but if you're in the so-called number 1 city, it's going to be, you're going to have to be on a different level.
Yeah.
Even if it's the 36th market, it's still going to be Austin. And so when you talk about schedule, I know you brought up a couple of things when we spoke, but what's probably the craziest thing that's happened, while you were not on the clock? And when you came back in, they were like, hey, this is going to be the story.
Yeah, well, there's 2. So in, 2019, Tom Herman, I guess it was late 2018, but one morning, Tom Herman, after the 2018 season, he had been kind of rumored to be out the door. But Texas won another bowl game. He won another bowl game, and it was like, well, maybe because he won another bowl game and he had a lot of talent coming in, maybe they'll give him one more year. They'll give him one more try. I said 2018. I got that wrong. 2020.
Fact check. You always want to fact check.
2020 was the year. It's COVID.
And he was the football coach.
COVID. Tom Herman was the football coach. And so we're thinking, all right, well, won the bowl game. Yeah, maybe you'll have another year. But, you kind of still want to keep your ear to the ground. Well, it's a Saturday morning. I do work Saturdays, but my hours aren't 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. My hours typically, depending on what's going on, just a regular average day, it's from 2 to 11. Of course, that fluctuates with different things. But anyway, but I'm not coming in at 8 a.m. But I get a phone call like right when I wake up, and it's my friend who I worked with, and he was like, "Did you see?" And I was like, "Did I see?" But as soon as I saw his name, I was already like on Twitter, going, "What's going on?" Then I got a bunch of other texts, and I'm seeing the text. I'm like, "Okay, well, let me check the text." And sure enough, Herman gone. And I'm like, oh, snap. My friend was like, you see? So I was like, yep, I see what's going on. I was like, all right, I'm going to get ready. So, when Tom Herman got fired as the University of Texas head football coach, something we didn't expect, that particular day, especially on a Saturday, huge story. So get dressed, go in, and get things together for the day. Figure out what we need to do to cover this story properly. Another similar story was the UT head men's basketball coach Chris Beard, a couple years ago, when he got arrested. He got arrested right before their game against Rice, or the night of their game against Rice. Technically he got arrested overnight. Same thing.
Where did he get
See
arrested
Chris
for?
Beard, domestic violence.
Allegedly.
It was alleged. The charges were dropped. So
how big was his next
I'm
contract?
gonna say. Well, here's the thing. So UT basically used that, though, as a way to get him out the paint because they were getting a lot of heat, of course.
Not as much heat as these protests, but okay.
I'm
not trying to get you in trouble.
You're right. No. I mean, you say whatever you want, man. I'm good. I'm good.
Hook 'em when we want. Hook 'em when we need to. If it's beneficial.
Well, they decided they needed to hook him or give him the hook. Because, it was just he had a clause in his contract basically where it was like a so-called morality clause.
If I do something crazy.
If you do something crazy and make the university look bad, even if you aren't convicted or whatever, they still have grounds to remove you. And that's what they did. And of course, now, all that hadn't happened yet, but when he got, arrested, it was like, all right, our move on the sports side was, how does this impact the team? Who's going to take over as the coach, at least for the time being, because they had to play a game that night. You know what I mean? And that game, for the record, that was an interesting game because Texas was way better than Rice, but Rice took them to overtime. It was one of the eeriest games. It was the eeriest game I've ever covered.
A lot of the kids probably had stuff on their mind.
Exactly. And you could just see it on them. Like it had like a quarter of the amount of spirit. When stuff like that happens, you just got to be ready to go. And you got to be ready to do whatever is necessary to cover the story properly. So that was another example of, all right, okay, I guess I'm on the clock now. Now, fortunately for that particular day, I did come in normal time because we had some other things we had to do too, but I was covering that game though. But the biggest assignment for me that day was to cover that game and, just capture the game and capture that post-game press conference because that was something.
Yeah, that had to be a very, very awkward one.
Very awkward.
So what's a goal you're currently working on right now?
Really, I just want to continue to get better. I mean, that's always been my goal is to get better because once you get better, you can, get yourself to a level where you can, keep going higher and higher and higher. And that's kind of my goal is to get better. And, I always said I'm going to do this until, my battery runs out. And, my battery's kind of low, I'm not going to lie, but it hasn't ran out quite yet.
36, we need some AA batteries, man. Come on now.
And the AA batteries are money.
We need money.
We need money.
What are 3 songs that you would recommend someone listen to sooner than later?
Oh, wow. Wham, you hit me with that. 3 songs.
That's what she said.
I like that, though. I like that. Oh, man, you hit me with one because I'm totally unprepared. I could answer this a million different ways. I love music, so I can answer this a million different ways. But 3 songs someone needs to hear sooner than later. Well, I really love funk. You know what I mean? And I mean, we're about to, head to the summer. So, I love barbecue music, cookout music. So I'll go with some old school, like One Way, Push. I think that's a good song. You listen to that, Turn the bass up. That's fun. Yeah, that makes you want to get in the line and dance. That'll get everybody kind of, on one, grooving, I think, grooving. And then I'd say for something a little bit more contemporary, I mean, look, I know, we're recording this after everything that's happened with the Drake, Kendrick, battle. I don't know your thoughts on that, but I'm going to say Not Like Us. Listen to the Kendrick's Not Like Us. That one went hard to me. Okay. That one went hard to me. And that could be the song of the summer. Again, at the time that we're recording this, it's, we're in early May, but that could be the song of the summer.
I do like the entertainment aspects of what they're
Yes. No, for sure, because that's what it is at the end of the day. But but not to go off into that. I was just answering your question.
We see what side he's on.
We see. Hey, I do love me. No, I know, but I just gotta say it for the record. I do love Drake's music. I've always loved Drake's music. I'll say that. But yeah, Kendrick got him. Anyway, and then the third song, I would say, why don't I go with, there's a group called Bad, Not Good. They're a bunch of dudes from Canada. Speaking of Canada, a bunch of dudes from Canada. Song I've been listening to a lot from them. It's old. They had an album called 4, came out 8 years ago. There's a song called Time Moves Slow. That's a really good song, I think. So that's three. So, we got,
Time Moves Slow, Bad, Not Good, Not Like Us, Kendrick Lamar, and then...
And One Way, Push.
One Way, Push. Is One Way the song name? Or
No, One Way's the group, excuse me. One Way's the group. They did, if you're familiar with the song Cutie Pie, and if you ever saw Original Kings of Comedy, said the Entertainer had a bit about going to space and us having like spaceships, like what our spaceships would look like. And he did like this whole thing basically comparing a spaceship to a Cadillac. You know what I'm saying?
Allegedly, that was Cat Williams' joke, and I just want to point out that we do support Cat Williams on this. We also support Cedric the Entertainer, but we do not support people stealing jokes.
We do. This is true.
But if you do
look it up. Look it up.
If you do steal someone's significant other, players get chose.
Yes.
Jokes don't get chose. Jokes are made. we gotta lay it down. All right, I appreciate that.
But that song is playing when he's doing the little thing, when he's backing up the spaceship. He's pretending like he's hitting reverse, and he's like got the cigarette in his mouth, and he's doing all this. That song is playing in the background. They're a funky group.
When we cut this up, I'll have to put the Cedric the Entertainer one with the date that he came out with it, and then we'll have to put the Cat Williams one with the date they came out with it.
You should.
But regardless of whoever made the joke up, pay the band, right?
Right.
So with that said, do people in your industry get paid fairly?
No, absolutely not. And everyone sitting here would say that to you. No. The amount of work we do, here's the thing. I was explaining this to you a little bit off air. Like, the thing people don't understand, a lot of people think, like, we have makeup people at the station. We have people doing stuff for us at the station. We do everything ourselves. I go to the bathroom, put on makeup. I edit all the video. All the video you see, I edit it. We shoot our own video. Everyone's been in a situation where they've had to shoot something and then go and then edit stuff and then anchor, go into the studio and deliver it. See, that's the part that people see. People see us anchoring on camera, doing our thing, but people don't know that we did the graphics. You know what I mean? We type up the graphics. We, put them in a system. We edit the video. We write our own scripts. There's not somebody writing anything for me. I write everything myself. So you're doing the jobs of like 5 people.
You're like a single mom.
Pretty much, and man.
And the baby is what the people see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And like that's the thing though. Like you have to. The tough thing is when you're in a bigger market like this too. You got to make sure you put on a product that's as professional and polished as you possibly can, but you're managing a lot of things all by yourself. You're doing a lot of things at once, and that's really tough. And the pay does not match up for that because, like I said, you're doing the jobs of 5 people, but you're doing them by yourself.
Gotcha. What would you change or add or take away to make sports journalism better?
Okay, what it's more about, well, definitely, obviously, the pay. I already addressed that. I would honestly say one direction that does make me nervous, just in general, is just this aversion to journalism. And, you had mentioned it earlier, right? All you need is opinion and a microphone to get your stuff out there, to have a platform, whereas before, you had to kind of be, professional. You had to go through things, learn how to look at things through a certain lens, an unbiased lens, and, to become sort of a mini expert on it, then you could kind of evaluate and come up with an opinion or whatever it is you did. Whatever your role was, if you were a writer for a newspaper and your job, you elevated to become a columnist, your job as a columnist is to give an opinion. But the beat reporter, that beat reporter's job is not to give an opinion. He or she, they got to just call it like it is. Oh, they lost, and they can chronicle stories, but the stories have to be from more of a narrative perspective. Like, I'm the narrator of what you're all seeing, and I'm framing it in a way for all of you to see, and you judge for yourself. Whereas someone who writes a column is, I covered this game, and here's what I think about it, or here's what I think about this team or this coach, or blah, 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 right? Those are different roles, you know what I mean? But you had to be a regular beat reporter first in order to get to that point where you were a columnist and you can give your opinion. Now people can just give their opinion whether they, know anything about libel laws or not, whether they know anything about, just kind of how to, cover a story objectively or not. You can just say whatever you have to say. And so one thing I will say that is that because of that, a lot of teams have taken the approach of, okay, well, we can put out our own content that's, that's pro us and put it out there to the public. And because we're doing that, we will restrict access for actual reporters, actual journalists, so they can't, find out something we don't want them to find out. And that's kind of the direction that it's heading in, and that makes me really uncomfortable.
Are you talking about the Longhorn Network specifically, or are you just talking about?
No, I'm talking about I'm talking about teams, individual franchises. I'm talking or schools, I'm talking okay, if the Phoenix Suns, for instance, right, their media team, they can put out a whole little, package about a player, about getting swept, but they wouldn't do it in the same way that a regular, like the beat reporter or a regular reporter, would do that. They wouldn't do that story the same way. It would be more on a pro Suns slant.
Do you think that the news reporting of the Phoenix Suns is better than the basketball team?
I'd say yeah. But given the way the Suns played that first round, getting swept. Hey, man, I picked them to lose that series. I picked them to be trash.
I agree with you, and I think what's happening is sponsors that are spending money want to make sure that they're getting enough viewers to view whatever product that they want to, show, right, for the ads. Mm-hmm. So now you got these markets that are juggling. Do I take the person who probably doesn't know what they're talking about but has 50,000 followers or this or that, or do I take someone who may not have as many followers but in the community they are they're looked at as a pinnacle of truth and non-biasry, right? Mm-hmm. They are looked at as this person knows what they're talking about because they started from the ground. They haven't jumped any steps, right? They didn't go up a ladder. They went up the stairs. They did it the hard way. I think it's going to be interesting to see where we go with, because I think the CNNs and the NBC and the Foxes of the world, they are the big giants that kind of get copied by the little markets, right? So if market one's doing something bad, you better bet your ass market 36 through 212 is going to be doing the same thing, right?
Yeah. I just want to say though, there is a difference between like cable news networks and local television stations. 100%. Local television stations, they're not like their newscasts. There's no, occasionally someone might do an editorial, but the thing about an editorial is it's got to get approved, and they make it very clear when someone's delivering an editorial. This is an editorial. This is only this one person's opinion. Their views do not reflect the station, and those are few and far between. By the way, that's not happening in local news. A lot of people are doing editorials because, quite frankly, well, I'm not even gonna go there. But the point I don't want to lose. Yeah, the main point I want to hammer home here is that local news is all about local stories. It's not about anything else. So local news, they're not going to do the same thing that CNN and MSNBC, Fox, even just the NBC, ABC CBS, Fox News, that airs nationally, on the non-cable network, the real network, right? They're doing things differently than CNN. Fox. That's a whole nother lane, a whole different thing. But local news, whether it's New York local news or whether it's Glendive, Montana local news, that is all about what's happening in New York and in Glendive,
so the 212
Montana.
is local. It's not.
Yes, yeah, exactly. That the market size thing doesn't apply to national cable networks because they're national. So it's not. It doesn't matter where you're at. It's going to the whole country anyway.
That makes sense. Now, I don't know who would be on the Mount Rushmore, but I do know Walter Cronkite would be there. Yeah. You talked about you went to his school in Arizona, correct?
Yeah. Well, yeah, the school they named after him. Walter Cronkite went to UT actually, but.
My bad.
Yeah, no, you're good. No, I'm saying that because a lot of people don't know that. That wasn't me correcting you.
I just went to Texas State where we have a president.
You're right.
Come to find out as I get older, LBJ was not all that good.
He was. He is a very complicated figure. I'll put it that way.
I prefer to lean towards the black LBJ, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
But I ain't got no problem with LBJ. But what did Walter Cronkite do, or what was his impact on your career?
Well, I would just say the way he delivered the news, that's been the blueprint. Him and Edward R. Murrow, those guys, a long time.
Ed was fire.
Those guys basically laid down the blueprint of, okay, this is how you deliver the news. This is what you do. This is how you say it. Like we don't do the thing, Walter Cronkite would say whenever he would give like a slight bit of his own perspective into a story, he would say, this reporter thinks blah, blah, blah. Or from what this reporter can see, blah, blah, blah. We don't really say it like that, but the way but people were doing that for a long time. And like, just the man, his mannerisms, everything. Everybody, followed from him after then. Dan Rather, it was Dan Rather, Tom Brokaw, Diane Sawyer, Barbara Walters. All of them kind of come from the school like that to learn directly from him and Murrow's example. Yeah. And I think because of those two guys, we all do things the same way they do, or try to do things the same way. Still to this day, I think that's the impact right there.
I think Martin Luther King and Malcolm X, the way that they spoke, was similar. It was very slow, concise, would give you an analogy that you could understand, and when they would explain things, and I'm on this Reddit forum, they would explain things as if you were a 5-year-old.
That's big fact.
But it still wouldn't put you down.
Big facts. The biggest thing, one of the things I learned early. When I was going through, and learning how to do this, in school was, the majority of people who watch the news, quite frankly, they have a lower grade reading level. I can't remember the exact, I'm just going to say 6th grade reading level for now.
6.
But it's something like that,
6
right?
God.
The 6.
6.
But like, so you have to think of like, okay, how do I turn this, maybe this complicated story into something that a 6th grader can go, oh, okay, I know exactly what happened now.
And not only translate it, but make sure they're not misconstruing your words, because then you don't want to say something wrong, and then you're playing telephone, and then all of a sudden 4 people down, it's a totally different thing than what you said, and then it comes out that you said something. It's like, no, that's not what I said, and now you have to backtrack because you made it such a high level thing. Yeah, I think that's something that Ron Burgundy, kind of showed me if you ever watched the movie.
Love that movie, by the way. But it's all about being conversational. That's something that gets drilled in our heads. You have to be conversational when you deliver a story because people will digest it much easier.
Facts. And so with that said, we're wrapping up, but we did talk about voting. And you felt very strongly about the subject. So I just want you, for me and for the viewers watching, someone who knows a lot about his industry, why is voting important to you?
Well, I would say whether you're a journalist or not, I think voting, is important to me because obviously this is the way this country runs. It's a democracy. You know what I mean? Whether our opinions, on how we execute that, democracy, for sure. Like we can have opinions for days on that. And it's not great, but at the end of the day, the process is supposed to be democratic. And I think that it's important to participate in that process. But what I will say is, as important as it is to vote, I won't shade someone who doesn't vote. I just say I wish you would. I really wish you would. And the big thing is, vote in these local elections, man. I was talking about local news, and that's the one thing about, the national networks. They can do and, say what they want, cover things the way they want. But the local stations, no one knows a local community like a local reporter. And that's who I wish people would turn to first, rather than go into some national stuff. Go to the people who are on the ground in the community first. And it's the same when it comes to voting. Get involved in the local elections. Get involved in, figuring out, okay, who's going to be the attorney general? Who's going to be the chief of police? Who's going to be, obviously your city council members? Like, just learn, as much as you can that I don't know everything about here. I educate myself as much as I can, but that is the most important thing. Vote in the local elections, because those people, if you get the people in the office that you want then when they go on to do other things, they're going to stick to those principles more than likely that, they ran on initially, because those are the people who are capable, qualified, and who have the morality to do the things they said they were going to do when they were just running for city council. Now they might be a congressman, and they're going to be doing those same things as a congressman or woman as they were as a city council member. And so that's why I say, when people think voting, they just think of the president and that's it. No, you got to think of everybody. And locally, the way you get these people that you don't like out the paint is by getting people opposite of them, established in local positions, because then as they rise, then they can knock some of those other folks off, especially when it comes to becoming the mayor or the governor and a congressman, a senator. You know what I mean? A state senator can become a national senator, right? So that's the thing. You just gotta,
vote in the beginning and then vote right.
Yes. Yeah. I could have made a joke there, but I won't. Serious topic.
I have. Please say it.
No. But it's important. It's important to vote. I'll say that. It's very important to get out and vote. And I know some of these people are scumbags, but again, vote with your heart. And if you don't want to vote for the president in the presidential election, don't vote in it. But you can still vote for a city councilman. You can still vote for the chief of police. You know what I mean? Like, these people directly impact our lives. Whether a stoplight goes up at a certain spot is all determined by local politicians. No, that's a fact. That's a fact.
I'm not going to disagree with you, but I will say, when you look at things very, very deep, then you understand it's bigger than just who you vote for locally, but you still should vote anyway.
Well, of course.
And middle finger to gerrymandering. Now,
yes.
2 questions before we go.
Always.
One,
right.
Does Greg Abbott stand for anything?
Have
you ever seen him stand up for anything?
It's literally impossible.
Okay. Hey, shout out my boy G, bro. Shout out to Greg. Greg, we go hard in the paint. I know that Russian lady you be hanging out with in San Marcos too, but we ain't gonna get to that. Secondly, the person that runs against Ted Cruz and loses every year, what's his name?
Well, it's Beto O'Rourke.
Yes.
Or Rourke, excuse me. Beto, yeah.
What happens to all the money he gets from donations once he loses? Does he have to give that back, or does he get to keep it?
Yeah, so I'm not an expert on this at all, but from what I've read about, there is a process for how that money is supposed to be distributed. Money that's given toward a campaign has to be used for the campaign. If if you do, now I don't know. It's for a fact that people have smuggled money, right?
I love how you're like, I don't know.
Yeah, well, no. But like people have smuggled money for sure. That has been, I mean, a state rep, Henry Cuellar, is, under some allegations of that.
The reason I bring it up is because if we're talking sports,
yeah,
Beto is balling.
It's
He's lost how many years in a row?
Well, the last 2 elections he ran for on a large scale, he's lost. Yeah.
Okay, so last 2. What about the ones before that?
Well, he was elected, as a
what?
Well, I mean, as a state rep.
State rep.
So he was in a position like he was
the man is like Chris Paul. He's never won a chip, but that man is balling.
He raises a lot of money, but he doesn't. He raises a lot of money, but it's not enough.
It's not enough for what?
To win.
Is it enough to live comfortably?
No, but that's what I'm saying.
What if I didn't want to win?
Money, but
what if the whole time?
I think this is the thing. And trust me, I am not a dude who thinks that everything is always on the up and up at all. But I do think though, like, there are things that just how they are. I don't think it's always super deep. You know what I mean?
That man getting more money than Charles Barkley.
He raised a lot of money, but so did Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz raised a lot of money himself.
Ted Cruz got to give that money up. He got to get that money up to G Baby. Got to get that money up to DT, but he don't got to get it. Beto ain't got to give nobody the money.
No, for sure. But there is a process, though, that you have to have, that they go through in terms of documenting the money that they raise and where it goes.
Let's make sure we get to the people what the proper process is for a loser to give back the campaign money. We want to see these winners win and these losers lose.
Yeah.
But we want to know where the money goes.
Yeah. I mean, it's because there are definitely, campaign finance records. There are campaign finance records you can, look up. That's something that people can do. I mean, it's not a thing that you gotta, you don't really have to be that much of a, you don't have to be in the circle to see those things. You don't have to do that. And that's the thing, when you suspend your campaign, you're not allowed to you're not allowed to receive money for it, when you drop out, all that is done, and so those are facts. That does happen.
With that said, this is Jonathan Thomas, aka JT. He is on
kxan.
Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. He will be doing your sports. Hopefully, he will be in a bigger market very soon. Let's make sure when we see this guy, we give him love because it's not easy doing the job he does. He doesn't do it for the profits. He does it to be a serviceman for his community. And so with that, we commend him, and I want to appreciate your time.
Hey, man, thanks. I appreciate it, Wayne. I appreciate you, brother.
He likes Hennessy, ladies, so whenever you see
him. I don't. For the record, I do not. I don't like Hennessy. I don't like Hennessy. So that's my black card can be put under question for that.
No, it's not that.
But that's it.
Hennessy destroys us. It's been destroying our neighborhood since 1886.
And it's not even good.
It is not, man. 1738.